Have you ever wondered what happens when a young couple steps into marriage, facing the pressures of family, tradition, and the unspoken rules that govern a lifetime? Welcome to the world of Lydia Plath and Zac Wyse, a love story that is anything but ordinary. From the moment their hearts connected, Lydia and Zac have been navigating the complex waters of romance, family expectations, and personal dreams. Season 7 captured their journey from blossoming love to a wedding that stirred emotions, debates, and even quiet tensions within their family. Lydia, strong-willed and unwavering, maintained her position amidst differing opinions, proving that staying true to oneself is sometimes the greatest act of courage. Zac, patient and supportive, matched her determination with understanding, creating a partnership built on trust and respect. But their story doesn't end at "I do." Season 8 takes us deeper into their lives, revealing the growth, the challenges, and the beautiful chaos that comes with planning a family. Lydia's desire to embrace motherhood meets Zac's readiness to step into fatherhood, and together they face every doubt, every challenge, and every joyful moment head on. Their love is tested, strengthened, and ultimately celebrated as they carve out their own space within a world that constantly watches, comments, and sometimes interferes. In this script, you'll follow every heartfelt conversation, every family clash, and every intimate moment that defines their journey. And here's the exciting part. You'll not only witness their story unfold, but also feel like you're part of it. So stick around, dive in, and experience Lydia and Zac's journey like never before. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe so you can follow every twist, turn, and triumph in their extraordinary story. Lydia had always been thoughtful, careful with her words, and measured in her actions. When she first met Zac Wyse, she never imagined that their casual conversations would turn into something so deep and life-changing. Zac, with his calm demeanor and unwavering support, noticed Lydia's quiet strength almost immediately. He was drawn not just to her beauty, but to the confidence with which she approached life, her convictions, her humor, and the way she could remain composed even when the world around her was chaotic. Their early dates were simple but meaningful. Walks through quiet parks, coffee shop conversations that stretched for hours, and long drives filled with shared laughter and tentative revelations. Both Lydia and Zac were careful. They knew love wasn't just about excitement. It was about understanding and supporting each other through the unseen challenges life could bring. Slowly, the bond deepened. They shared fears, ambitions, and dreams. Zac admired Lydia's dedication to her family, her ability to balance her personal aspirations with her responsibilities, and her clarity in decision-making. Lydia, in turn, admired Zac's patience, his ability to listen without judgment, and the steadiness he brought into her life. But love, as they soon discovered, doesn't exist in a vacuum. Their growing relationship began to attract attention from Lydia's family. Some were cautiously supportive, quietly rooting for their happiness. Others, however, questioned whether Zac could truly fit into the structured and often traditional dynamics of the Plath household. Subtle tension began to weave its way into conversations, lingering in the background. Questions about his intentions, his lifestyle, and how he would handle family traditions were raised, sometimes gently, sometimes pointedly. Lydia felt the weight of their scrutiny. She loved her family, but she also knew her heart belonged to Zac, and she quietly resolved to protect the relationship from undue pressure. Meanwhile, Zac faced his own challenges. Though confident in his love for Lydia, he understood the magnitude of marrying into a family so close-knit and opinionated. He worried about making mistakes, about overstepping boundaries, and about being judged unfairly. Each interaction with Lydia's parents and siblings tested his patience and diplomacy, yet he never let these concerns diminish his commitment. He learned to navigate family dinners, subtle criticisms, and questions that sometimes felt more like interrogations than conversations. Through it all, he leaned on Lydia, whose calm and measured approach reminded him that love required both courage and endurance. The engagement itself was a quiet, heartfelt moment. Zac proposed during a private evening under the dim glow of string lights in the backyard, where they first shared one of their long conversations. Lydia's answer was immediate, an unwavering yes, though her eyes reflected not just joy, but the awareness of the journey ahead. They knew that marriage wouldn't just be about romance, it would be about compromise, patience, and building a life together while respecting the intricate web of family connections. As the days following the engagement unfolded, Lydia and Zac began to dream about their future together. Discussions about wedding plans, living arrangements, and how they would balance their personal goals with family expectations filled their evenings. Each conversation strengthened their understanding of each other, yet the tension from family opinions lingered as a subtle undercurrent. Lydia remained steadfast, determined to honor her family, but also committed to carving out a space where she and Zac could flourish independently. Zac, equally committed, found ways to blend respect with authenticity, showing that he could love Lydia while navigating the complexities of her world. Through these early stages of love, engagement, and preparation, Lydia and Zac's bond grew stronger. Their romance wasn't just a story of passion, it was a story of partnership, resilience, and the quiet strength of two people who refused to let external pressures dictate the course of their hearts. And as the wedding day loomed closer, both knew that the real test wasn't in saying, "I do," but in the life they would build together afterward. The weeks following their engagement were a whirlwind of excitement and subtle tension. Lydia and Zac spent hours discussing wedding details, each conversation carefully balancing practicality with their personal tastes. Lydia wanted a ceremony that reflected her values, simple, elegant, and meaningful, while Zac, though less particular, wanted to ensure it felt personal and authentic to their relationship. They agreed on small touches. The backyard would be decorated with string lights, soft music would set the tone, and close family and friends would witness the union. Yet, as planning progressed, the undercurrents of family opinions began to surface. Lydia's parents were cautious but supportive, reminding her of the traditions and expectations she had grown up with. Siblings and extended family members, however, were more vocal, offering suggestions, critiques, and sometimes veiled judgments. "Are you sure he's ready for all this?" one cousin asked casually, though the question carried weight. Lydia, patient yet firm, would smile and respond, "He's more than ready, we're ready." But inside she felt the pressure, the desire to honor her family while protecting the integrity of her relationship. Zac, meanwhile, navigated these conversations with care. He knew he couldn't win over everyone instantly, but he tried to demonstrate his intentions through actions rather than words. He helped with decorations, offered to coordinate with vendors, and quietly listened to feedback without defensiveness. Lydia noticed his efforts and felt a surge of gratitude. She had always admired how he balanced assertiveness with thoughtfulness. In private moments, she would whisper, "I don't know how I got so lucky," and Zac would reply with a gentle smile, "We got lucky together." But not all interactions were easy. Family dinners often brought subtle reminders that they were outsiders in a tightly knit world. Questions about Zac's career, lifestyle, and approach to tradition were sometimes sharp, and at times Lydia felt torn between defending her partner and maintaining harmony. Tension would ripple beneath the surface, creating quiet moments of anxiety. Zac sensed Lydia's stress and reassured her in whispered conversations late at night. "We can do this. Together, we can handle anything." Those words, repeated often, became a quiet mantra that strengthened their bond. As the wedding day approached, small conflicts arose over minor details: seating arrangements, floral choices, even music selection. Each issue could have felt monumental under different circumstances, but Lydia and Zac treated them as opportunities to practice compromise. Lydia learned to relax when Zac offered gentle suggestions, recognizing that his perspective often brought balance. Zac, in turn, learned to respect Lydia's instincts and the way she valued the input of her family. Amid the stress, there were moments of joy and connection. They spent evenings imagining their life after the wedding, discussing hopes for their home, careers, and quietly future children. Each plan reaffirmed why they were committing to each other, not just for the ceremony, but for a shared life filled with understanding, respect, and love. The family's subtle tension never disappeared entirely, but it transformed into a background rhythm, a reminder that love sometimes requires patience and diplomacy. Lydia and Zac were no longer just a couple in love. They were partners learning to navigate family dynamics, external expectations, and the complexities of planning a wedding together. And with every challenge, their connection deepened, laying the groundwork for the next chapter of their lives, the wedding day itself. The morning of the wedding arrived with a mix of excitement, nerves, and anticipation. Sunlight spilled softly across the Plath family backyard, illuminating the string lights that had been carefully hung over the past weeks. Flowers in shades of cream and soft pink adorned the edges of the ceremony space, their subtle fragrance mingling with the fresh spring air. For Lydia, the scene was everything she had envisioned: serene, intimate, and full of meaning. She smoothed the folds of her simple yet elegant dress, taking a deep breath as she reflected on the journey that had led her to this moment. Zac, on the other side of the house, adjusted his tie for the third time, though it was already perfect. He smiled to himself, thinking of Lydia and the quiet strength that had first drawn him to her. The wedding wasn't just a celebration. It was a testament to the challenges they had faced together. Every discussion, every family opinion, every subtle tension along the way had prepared them for this day, and Zac felt a mix of gratitude and excitement for the life they were about to build. As the ceremony began, family members took their seats, some with smiles, others with a hint of reserved skepticism. Lydia's parents watched closely, pride and concern mingling in their expressions, while siblings whispered quietly among themselves, adjusting to the reality that their youngest sister was stepping into a new chapter. Despite the underlying tension, the atmosphere was filled with love, laughter, and quiet anticipation. Lydia walked down the aisle with measured steps, Zac's eyes never leaving hers. In that moment, all the doubts, the whispers, and the judgments melted away. They had built a bond stronger than any external pressure. When they reached each other, Zac took her hands in his, feeling the warmth and steadiness he had come to rely on. Their vows were heartfelt and intimate, blending promises of love, support, and partnership with personal reflections on the journey they had shared. "I promise to stand by you," Zac whispered, his voice steady, "through every challenge, every joy, and every quiet moment in between." Lydia responded with equal sincerity, pledging her unwavering support and love, acknowledging both their shared dreams and the realities they would navigate together. The exchange of rings marked not only the physical union, but the emotional commitment to a life built on mutual respect and understanding. Tears glistened in eyes throughout the ceremony, as family members, some skeptical, some overjoyed, witnessed the depth of their connection. Even subtle tensions softened in the face of such visible devotion. After the ceremony, the reception was filled with laughter, dancing, and quiet moments of reflection. Zac and Lydia shared a private glance, acknowledging the effort, patience, and perseverance that had brought them here. Family members began to see Zac's steady commitment, and slowly the unspoken tension began to ease. Conversations became warmer, smiles more frequent, and the day's energy shifted toward celebration rather than conflict. By evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, Lydia and Zac stepped outside together, holding hands and savoring a quiet moment amidst the festivities. The glow of the string lights reflected in their eyes, a symbol of both the love they shared and the journey they had embraced. It was not just a wedding day, it was the beginning of a partnership rooted in trust, patience, and unwavering devotion, a foundation that would carry them through the next chapters of life, including the challenges and joys that awaited in season 8. The first weeks after the wedding felt surreal for Lydia and Zac. They were no longer just a couple dreaming about the future. They were a married couple bound together by vows, shared responsibility, and the reality of building a life together. Their home, modest but warm, reflected both their personalities. Soft-colored walls, small plants on the windowsills, and carefully arranged furniture created a space that was cozy yet functional. Every corner seemed to whisper reminders of their shared tastes and combined dreams. Mornings began with the quiet rhythm of routine. Lydia would brew coffee while Zac prepared breakfast, their movements complementing each other in a way that felt natural and comforting. Conversations flowed easily, sometimes about mundane details like groceries or bills, sometimes about bigger decisions like career plans or family expectations. These small moments reinforced their partnership, reminding them that love wasn't only about grand gestures. It was built in the everyday acts of care and understanding. Yet settling into married life wasn't without its challenges. Lydia still felt the subtle gaze of her family, who often commented on their routines, their choices, and even Zac's mannerisms. Some remarks were well-intentioned but carried an implicit pressure, nudging Lydia to act as a mediator between her husband and her family. She learned to navigate these situations with patience, always choosing diplomacy over confrontation, though sometimes the quiet weight of expectation pressed heavily on her. Zac, for his part, adapted in his own way. He quickly realized that loving Lydia also meant understanding her family's dynamics and learning to coexist within them without losing his own identity. He took small steps, asking questions, observing traditions, and participating in family events with respect and openness. At the same time, he made sure to create boundaries where needed, gently reminding family members that their marriage was a partnership that deserved space and respect. Evenings often brought moments of reflection. Lydia and Zac would sit together on the porch, sharing stories about their day and dreams for the future. They laughed over minor mishaps, like a burnt batch of cookies or a miscommunication about laundry, and celebrated small victories, like successfully hosting a family dinner without conflict. These moments became the glue holding them together, a quiet reassurance that they could face challenges as long as they approached them together. Friends and extended family played a supporting role during this time, offering advice, celebrating milestones, and sometimes serving as a sounding board for frustrations or uncertainties. Lydia valued these connections but remained careful to prioritize her marriage above external opinions. Zac admired her ability to balance love for family with commitment to their partnership, a skill that strengthened his admiration and love for her daily. While the external pressures were ever present, Lydia and Zac also focused on internal growth. Lydia reflected on her personal goals, career ambitions, and how she wanted to contribute meaningfully to the life they were building. Zac did the same, considering his role not only as a husband, but as a future father, provider, and partner. Their conversations became deeper, touching on values, ethics, and the legacy they wanted to leave as a couple. Through these early months of married life, they discovered the importance of communication. Misunderstandings were inevitable, but addressing them openly and respectfully became a cornerstone of their relationship. They learned to negotiate, compromise, and sometimes let small frustrations go in favor of preserving harmony and love. Most importantly, they began to dream together, quietly imagining a home filled with laughter, children, and milestones yet to come. Lydia's desire to become a mother and Zac's readiness to embrace fatherhood formed a shared vision that strengthened their bond even further. The challenges of family dynamics, societal expectations, and daily life were acknowledged but no longer intimidating. They were obstacles to navigate together, not forces to divide them. By the end of these initial months, Lydia and Zac had created a rhythm that worked for them, a balance of love, partnership, and respect. Their marriage was still young, but the foundation was strong, built on shared values, mutual support, and the knowledge that whatever external pressures arose, they faced them as a united team. As months passed in their married life, a new chapter quietly began to take shape in Lydia and Zac's minds: parenthood. Lydia often found herself imagining the laughter of a child filling the corners of their home, little footsteps echoing across the floors, and the gentle chaos that comes with raising a family. Her heart yearned for the role of a mother, not just as a continuation of life, but as a way to nurture the love and stability she and Zac had built together. She spoke of it often, softly at first, sharing dreams and fears with Zac during their quiet evenings on the porch. Zac, ever patient and contemplative, listened attentively. Fatherhood was a responsibility he didn't take lightly. He reflected on his own upbringing, the lessons he had learned from his parents, and the kind of father he wanted to be. While Lydia's excitement sometimes made the idea feel immediate, Zac approached it with measured care. He wanted to ensure that their lives, their careers, and their home were ready, not just materially, but emotionally, for the arrival of a child. Conversations about parenthood were deep and honest. Lydia expressed her eagerness to embrace motherhood soon, speaking of the joys she imagined, the routines she looked forward to, and the values she wanted to instill. Zac responded with equal sincerity, discussing his hopes and fears, and how he envisioned their roles complementing each other. Together, they began to build a shared vision, a blueprint for family life that balanced love, guidance, and mutual respect. Family reactions to these discussions were mixed, reflecting the complex dynamics Lydia and Zac had always navigated. Some relatives were overjoyed, offering advice, encouragement, and stories from their own experiences. Others raised questions about timing, responsibilities, and the challenges of balancing work, marriage, and parenthood. While these opinions sometimes created pressure, Lydia and Zac approached them together. They filtered the input, respecting experience without allowing external voices to dictate their decisions. This process strengthened their partnership and reinforced their commitment to each other. Amid all this, Lydia and Zac shared moments of intimacy that reinforced their bond. They laughed over imagined scenarios like diaper mishaps and sleepless nights, and debated baby names playfully. These lighthearted moments provided balance to the weightier discussions about responsibilities, boundaries, and the future. They realized that parenthood wasn't just about children. It was about continuing to grow together as a couple, to face challenges as a team, and to nurture a love capable of weathering every transition in life. Their dreams of parenthood also inspired reflection on their own childhoods. Lydia thought about her upbringing, the lessons her parents had taught her, and how she wanted to replicate the love and stability she had felt. Zac considered his own family, understanding that fatherhood would require patience, adaptability, and a willingness to embrace both joy and uncertainty. By the end of this phase, Lydia and Zac's conversations about children had shifted from imagination to preparation. They began making practical decisions, discussing finances, health, and lifestyle adjustments, and mentally preparing for the profound responsibility of raising a child. But beyond logistics, the most important preparation was emotional, building a home filled with love, communication, and unwavering support. Parenthood was no longer a distant dream. It was a shared journey they were ready to embark upon together. Through all of this, one thing became clear. Their love, strengthened by marriage, family challenges, and shared goals, would form the foundation for the next chapter. And as they held hands under the soft glow of their porch lights, Lydia whispered, "I can't wait for our family." And Zac replied with certainty in his eyes, "We'll do this together, every step of the way." Even as Lydia and Zac's dreams of parenthood grew stronger, life began to test their resilience in unexpected ways. Family dynamics, which had always been a subtle source of tension, now occasionally spilled into their daily lives, reminding them that love alone could not smooth every obstacle. Some relatives, still adjusting to Zac's presence as a permanent part of the family, occasionally questioned their choices, everything from parenting plans to lifestyle decisions. Lydia, who had always been calm under pressure, found herself balancing the role of mediator, ensuring that their relationship remained intact while addressing family concerns. Zac faced his own challenges. He wanted to honor Lydia's family without losing himself or compromising their partnership. Each family dinner, visit, or conversation required patience, careful listening, and sometimes tactful silence. There were moments when subtle criticisms stung, when offhand remarks questioned his dedication or ability to support Lydia in this next chapter. Yet these challenges became opportunities for growth. Zac learned not only to navigate family opinions, but also to communicate openly with Lydia about how these interactions affected him. Conflict also arose from within the marriage, not in love, but in balancing expectations and priorities. Lydia's excitement to start a family sometimes collided with Zac's caution, as he wanted to ensure they were fully prepared emotionally, financially, and practically. These discussions, though rooted in love, occasionally led to disagreements, but each disagreement was met with respect. Instead of letting frustration fester, they took time to listen, understand, and compromise. These conversations strengthened their emotional connection, revealing the depth of their partnership and their shared commitment to a future together. Beyond family and planning, external pressures began to influence their growth. Work responsibilities, personal ambitions, and social expectations occasionally demanded their attention, forcing them to reassess priorities. Yet, in every challenge, they found a lesson. Lydia realized that patience was as vital as determination, while Zac discovered that flexibility and empathy could turn potential friction into deeper understanding. They learned that love required not just passion, but intentional effort, daily choices, and sometimes sacrifice. Amid conflicts, there were moments of clarity and triumph. A quiet evening spent talking about hopes for their future, a small victory in resolving a family disagreement, or even laughter shared over minor mishaps reinforced the foundation of their relationship. Each challenge faced together became proof that their bond was resilient, capable of weathering tension while preserving trust and intimacy. By the end of this period, Lydia and Zac had grown in ways that went beyond marriage. They had strengthened their communication, developed strategies to handle conflict, and deepened their understanding of each other's needs, desires, and limits. The challenges they faced were not merely obstacles, they were stepping stones toward a more mature, enduring relationship. The trials of conflict ultimately paved the way for growth. Lydia's steadfastness and Zac's patience became a rhythm in their partnership, a steady heartbeat guiding them through uncertainties. And as they prepared for the next steps, parenthood, further family integration, and building a life fully their own, They knew that every challenge they overcame together only made their love stronger. In this phase, Lydia and Zac's story became not just a romance, but a testament to resilience, trust, and the power of facing life's complexities as a team. With time, the storms of tension and conflict gradually gave way to a calmer, more grounded rhythm in Lydia and Zac's life. The challenges they had faced, family scrutiny, differing expectations, and the uncertainties of starting a family had transformed them. Instead of weakening their bond, these experiences strengthened it, reinforcing the foundation of trust, communication, and mutual respect they had built from the beginning. Lydia found herself reflecting often on how far they had come. She remembered the early days of cautious conversations, of wondering if Zac could truly fit into her world, and of navigating family opinions without losing herself. Now, as she watched Zac move around their home, quietly attending to small tasks, smiling at shared jokes, and discussing plans for their future, she felt a deep sense of security. Their love was no longer just a passionate romance. It had matured into a partnership rooted in understanding, compromise, and unwavering support. Zac, too, had grown. The experiences of managing family expectations, planning for parenthood, and navigating married life had deepened his empathy and strengthened his resolve. He had learned that love was not simply about romantic gestures, but about showing up every day, listening, and supporting Lydia in ways both large and small. Their relationship had become a safe space where both could be vulnerable, honest, and fully themselves, knowing that the other would always respond with care and respect. Family dynamics also began to shift. As relatives witnessed Zac's dedication and Lydia's steadfastness, subtle tensions eased. Conversations that had once felt tense became warmer and more open. Some family members who had initially questioned the marriage now offered support and encouragement, acknowledging the couple's commitment and the genuine love between them. While not every opinion had changed, Lydia and Zac had learned that they didn't need universal approval to thrive. They only needed each other and the respect they gave to themselves. Amid this renewed harmony, Lydia and Zac's thoughts increasingly turned to the future. Their conversations about children became more detailed, blending excitement with practical planning. Lydia imagined holding her child for the first time, seeing Zac guide their little one with patience, and creating a family environment filled with love, laughter, and understanding. Zac, in turn, visualized the lessons he wanted to teach, the memories he hoped to create, and the values he wanted to instill in their future child. These shared dreams became a source of joy and motivation, reinforcing why they had chosen each other as life partners. In these moments of reflection, they also celebrated their accomplishments. They had weathered family conflicts, navigated differences in opinion, and maintained their partnership under pressure. Every challenge overcome had taught them patience, resilience, and the importance of prioritizing their relationship. Their love had evolved from initial attraction to a profound, enduring connection that could sustain them through the uncertainties of life. As the sun set on their shared evenings, Lydia and Zac often held hands and spoke quietly about the road ahead. They discussed hopes for parenthood, future travels, and the home they wanted to nurture. Each conversation strengthened their vision for a life together, one marked not just by love, but by partnership, shared responsibility, and the joy of creating new memories. By the end of this chapter, Lydia and Zac had emerged stronger, closer, and more united than ever. Their love was no longer simply a story of romance. It had become a story of resilience, growth, and the courage to face life's challenges together. And as they looked toward the future hand in hand, one thing was certain: whatever came next, parenthood, new family milestones, or the unexpected turns of life, they would face it together with hearts full of love and hope. And so Lydia and Zac's journey continues, a story of love, resilience, and growth. From the excitement of their first dates to the challenges of family expectations, from their heartfelt wedding to the dreams of parenthood, their bond has only deepened with time. Every trial they faced, every conversation and compromise shaped the partnership they cherish today. Their love is no longer just about passion, it's about trust, understanding, and the courage to face life's challenges together. As we close this chapter, remember that Lydia and Zac's story is a reminder that relationships thrive not by avoiding obstacles, but by confronting them with patience, respect, and unwavering support. If you enjoyed following their journey, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Comment below with your favorite moment from their story and stay tuned for more chapters in the lives of Lydia and Zac, because their adventure is far from over.